Eric from Cordovan Guitar Studio here, talking about how to properly hold your guitar. I've spent a lot of time in the practice room, in schools, doing research, figuring out the best, most efficient way to hold your guitar, and I'm going to share those findings with you so that you don't have to get frustrated and fight your own technique. So the first thing that we're going to have to talk about here is which leg the guitar goes on. The guitar should be sitting on your left leg. If you have played guitar before, I hope this is not completely shocking you right now, but this is not the correct way to hold your guitar. Will you see some great professionals playing guitar awesomely with the guitar on the right leg? Yes, you will. Just understand, if you throw 8 hours a day at really any technique, you can get good at it. If you don't have 8 hours a day, let's just skip some of the poor things that come along with sitting this way and trust that this is way better for your progress. Okay? So some of the reasons for that, if you're not completely convinced yet, some of the reasons for that are going to be, one, when the guitar is on my right leg, the neck is going to be pointed down towards the floor, whether I'm sitting like this, like that. The neck is either pointed down towards the floor or on the same angle as the floor. When that happens, to play in certain positions, my wrist is going to have to continue to turn and bend. We don't want that. In fact, you don't want really much of any kind of flexion or extension in your wrist if you can avoid it at all when you're playing guitar. And I'll show you why. If you have a relaxed wrist, that means your elbow to your fingertips is more or less a straight line. All right, so go ahead and go to neutral here. This is what I'll call a neutral wrist, and just start wiggling your fingers as if you're playing the guitar. If you have good posture, good technique, this is all the effort it really takes to play guitar. All right, we'll talk about how to get there, but this is it. This is how it feels when I'm playing guitar with good, proper technique. If I bend my wrist, I'll notice almost immediately there's a lot of tension right around my watch band and a little bit further on the inside of my forearm. It doesn't feel too good. If I turn it the other way, which will also happen if I'm playing up here, if I turn it the other way, you're going to find that it starts to hurt back here. All right? We don't want pain. This can actually cause long-term injury. This is the type of stuff that causes carpal tunnel. Just makes good sense. If you're going to be sitting for even an hour doing these repeated movements, you don't want to put additional bend and stress on your hand. Okay, so whether you're a young student and you're just starting out earlier on in life, or if you're a retired adult, you don't want to be putting your hands in a position to cause pain. Guitar playing should be fun, not painful. So we're going to talk about how to avoid that. Another thing that I just don't find very productive about this right leg posture here is that I can make it about a little less than halfway up the guitar before I start getting in my own way. Meaning, as I'm playing up the guitar here, my hip, my body starts to get in the way, and then I require a completely different set of movements here to get past my own body. All right, this is stuff that can happen kind of quickly, but nonetheless, it's additional movement. And if you want to play quickly, if you want to play fluidly, if you want to be musical, you don't want to have to worry about extra shoulder and elbow movements if it's unnecessary. Okay, and then the other thing is just that what's naturally going to happen when you're sitting like this is that your elbows are going to rest on your knees. And if my elbows are resting on my knees, essentially I'm putting weight on my arms, right? So even if there's an additional 5 pounds of tension from my upper body on my arms, that's going to come across in my guitar playing. That's going to tire me out. And again, that can potentially cause injury if you're doing the same movements over and over and over again. All right, so we're going to prevent injury. We're going to make guitar playing easier, less frustrating, and it's going to be a lot smoother and more musical. So let's put it over on our left leg. A couple of things, real simple things to keep in mind here. We'll just kind of go through a checklist from the top down. All right, my head is going to be straight up, right? So I'm imagining that there's a straight line. My spine is going straight up. All right, so the center of my body, there's a line down the center of my body. Next, the headstock is on a 45-degree angle. So if you imagine this straight line, this headstock, the neck of the guitar here, should be at about 45 degrees from this and the floor, right? Not like this, like this. And you'll know you're in the ballpark when, one, this first tuning machine is at about eyeball or nose or ear level to you, plus or minus a little bit, but this should be at about eye level. Then you'll know that you've got a good positioning on your guitar. Also, the body of your guitar will dip down a little bit below the cushion of your chair. So you're going to have to sit forward a little bit. You won't ever be able to use the backrest of your chair when you're practicing guitar unless you sit back and take a break. No playing like this though, all right? So we're always sitting forward, and again, you can see the reason for that is the cushion of my chair would actually stop the guitar a little less than 45 degrees. You can see here that the tuning machine's really only hitting about my shoulder, and I can't get the best technique there. So I need to come forward so that my guitar can move in front of the cushion of the chair, all right? So moving on down, my legs then, or the next stop here, my legs are actually providing the support of the instrument. My arms aren't holding it at all. I'm gonna need these things to play the guitar, right? So why would I spend energy holding the guitar with the things that I need to play the guitar? Just makes good logical sense, I think. So my legs are actually providing a little bit of support here, and they're just enough support to keep the guitar stable so that my hands can do all the crazy things that I'm gonna want them to do. Moving down, the last stop is going to be my toes. My toes are just going to be in the straight line. All 10 toes are forming a straight line. Okay, that's important because I need this equal wide stance here. So if my toes are not in a straight line, this is what I see a lot of students do, is they tuck their right leg almost underneath the cushion of their chair, and this happens, right? So I see this all the time. That students, well, they're sitting properly almost, but then for some reason this right leg tucks underneath, and now what has to happen is that my picking arm is going to be constantly adjusting the instrument and preventing it from falling, or we just kind of let it fall and we play with poor technique. Neither one of those things is desirable, and can be fixed simply by putting your feet flat on the floor, making sure your toes are in a straight line. All right, so from the top down, again, head straight up, spine is straight. The headstock and neck of the guitar at a 45-degree angle. Tuning machine is at about eye, nose, face level. My legs are supporting the instrument. The body of the instrument is sitting just a little bit below the chair. 10 toes in a straight line. And then obviously my left foot is on a guitarist's footrest. And these things are adjustable for your height, and they cost roughly $10. If you are new to the idea of holding the guitar on your left leg, but you are not new to the guitar, my advice at this point would be to go get one of these and just practice holding your guitar, because your tendency is going to be to grab your guitar when you sit down. You're just going to automatically put it on this right leg. I know it. It happens to everybody. So the recommendation, again, if you've been playing guitar for a little bit and this left leg thing feels foreign, go out and get the footstand. When you're watching TV, you don't even have to play guitar, just hold it. Get used to the feeling of the proper positioning. That way, that's not one more thing that you have to think about when you go to practice your guitar. So just practice sitting with it when you're watching Netflix or doing something on the couch, or you're scrolling through the internet, whatever. Just hold the guitar. Just get used to supporting the instrument this way so that you don't have to keep fighting habit here. I understand that your habits might put this right leg feeling as a little bit more comfortable in the beginning. Just know that that's not necessarily a comfort thing, that's a familiarity thing, and we're gonna work through that together, okay? So fight through it in the beginning. If it feels a little bit awkward, it only takes about a week or two of solid practice and just sitting down with it before you notice the benefits. And most students after day 2 will come back and say, yeah, it's way better. It's way easier to play guitar with a guitar on my left leg than I ever thought it was. So the other thing I'm going to show you real quick is just what this is going to look like with an acoustic guitar, because just small differences there. You're still going to hold it on the left leg. You're still going to prop it up with your footrest. So the only small difference here with the acoustic guitar is going to be that the instrument itself won't be fully supported by my legs, at least not completely. Everything else is the same. Straight spine, tuning machine's about eye level, resting on the left leg there. Body of the instrument is sitting a little bit below the cushion of my chair, so when I sit down in the chair, I'm actually sitting on the edge. 10 toes, straight line. inside of my thighs are supporting the instrument. This arch is sitting against my left leg. So the last little bit, again, is that the instrument may not completely support itself. So what's going to happen just through the natural process of playing the guitar is that the moment your right hand comes around to do the things that right hands do, it's automatically going to provide that last bit of support necessary to keep the acoustic guitar stable. Other than that, the seating posture is exactly the same. I did want to talk about one more added benefit of playing with the guitar on your left leg. I didn't want to overlook this, it's really important, is that players often tell me, I can play it fine when I'm sitting down, but I went to band practice and I couldn't play that passage standing up. And if you hold the guitar on your right leg, that makes perfect sense, because the guitar is actually in a completely different position sitting down here than if you're standing up here, right? So when I put the strap on my guitar, if it's positioned properly, it's going to be in the exact same position as it would be if I was sitting down with my leg propped. So whether you're sitting or standing, the idea here is if it's on your left leg, you don't have to relearn anything. It should be in about the same position, the same angle, whether sitting or standing. The notes are in the same place. I don't have to learn a second standing technique. So that's it for guitar posture. Just do the checklist basically from your head down and make sure all the things are doing what they need to do before you start playing. If you're new to the guitar or you're new to sitting with this on your left leg, you're going to want to check in with your posture probably every 10 minutes of your practice or so. When you first sit down to practice, you're going to be really focused on doing all the right stuff, and then as you get absorbed into the music, there's an excellent chance that technique just kind of falls by the wayside. It happens to the best of us, so like every 10 minutes or so, just double check your technique, go back down through the checklist, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. And again, I'll just say this one more time, you'll see all sorts of great players on YouTube doing really weird things with technique and pick and how they're holding the guitar. And yeah, there are other ways to hold the guitar. I don't necessarily think that they're the best one. I'm giving you the best one. You have the benefit of my 25 years of guitar playing experience telling you that I know that this is going to help you. And if you don't have 8 to 10 hours a day to practice like some of those professional guitar players do, you might want to take some of these shortcuts so that you don't wind up fighting your own technique. As I said at the beginning, I believe that if you spend 8 to 10 hours a day doing just about anything, you can get good at it. But if you don't have that kind of time, let's just cut out the stuff that doesn't work and only use the stuff that does. All right? Hopefully that's helpful. Remember to run through your checklist, and I'm really looking forward to working with you and seeing you at your next lesson.
Bye.